Have SwizzY and Pixie finally found form? Is Moustache ready for a comeback? And why did so many big duos miss out on the Divisional Cup finals? All of that and more in today's EU review. So the Opens round of the Week 4 Divisional Cup is officially over, and the team that came in first was SwizzY and Pixie, and they had a standout performance. Honestly, it's looking like they may be back to their best. Since forming, they've not had the craziest placements. FNCS was a bit of a disappointment. They were in 48th place after day one. They got surprise contested over at Dark Dominion by Truly and Gonzo, and that completely derailed their tournament. They were way better on day two, finishing in 4th just for the day, dominating off spawn this time and securing a 16th place finish overall to take them to the Summit Land in Germany. And since then, their form has taken an upwards turn. They got first in the Reload Elite Series Opens. They were first after day one of the Reload Elite Series play-ins. They then had some very unfortunate queuing issues on day two. They were only able to play out 4 of their 12 games. They won all 4 with 10 plus kills to secure their qualification, so an incredible clutch from them. And now they have, of course, won the Opens of this Divisional Cup. Yes, you can call them Opens merchants. Yes, you can say that these placements aren't translating to grand finals as of yet, but I do believe it could be coming. All the signs are there that this team are starting to click. I actually had this to say about them recently on the Nothing But Fortnite podcast. They just haven't had the results that I feel like I'd like to have seen from them. They haven't won a Divisional Cup, not even really come that close. I want to see some more from these guys, and the Summit lands soon, so they're going to have to turn it around. It definitely feels like since I said this, they have turned a new leaf. Their performances have taken a huge upturn, and if they can continue this, then they will be one of the favourites to win grand finals on Saturday. We can actually take a look at some of their gameplay and see what it is that they do so well. As you can see in this clip, they're keying Acer and Rax. What I really like is how they continuously use the overdrive grenades. That allows them to move around quicker, to put down crazy pressure and keep Acer and Rax on the back foot throughout this entire fight. Clearly their fighting chemistry is very solid. At the end of this battle, they converge on Acer and Rax, setting up a nice pinch to close out the fight. Now, none of this is particularly unique or crazy, but it's nice to see that SwizzY and Pixie are settling, because they should be one of the best fighting duos in the world on paper. I mean, SwizzY is the global champion, Pixie one of the best fighters in the entirety of Europe. These guys have a very high ceiling, and it's nice to see that they're finally putting in performances. Now, looking down the rest of the top 10 from Opens, we've got Kiro and Frostroki in second, a relatively new duo. Kiro actually had the most eliminations out of anyone with 87. I say out of anyone, he was joint for that with Twy. He came in 3rd place with King Cringe. This is a duo that have been super consistent lately. They actually came 3rd in the Reload Elite Series play-ins as well, so a lot of consistency in these Opens rounds. We then had Focus and Thomas HD in 4th. They actually managed to come first on day 2. Thomas HD had the best damage ratio and Focus had the most damage in total, so they were putting down some crazy numbers in this tournament. No real other shocks. Of course, Sky and Scroll made it into the top 10. They are the best duo in the world right now, and they will be the favourites going into finals. Cammy and Hari qualified. They'll be hoping to finally have the big performance that they've been waiting for on Saturday. And Skyjump and Mumsy, who managed a 3rd place last week, also made it. Now, we did have some other interesting names qualify. Of course, Vico and Malabuka made it through. They are the reigning Divisional Cup champions, and they will be looking to defend their title. We had Mr. Savage and Velo continue their perfect qualification record. Since forming as a duo, they have made 6 out of 6 Divisional Cups that they have queued together, which is really impressive consistency. Yes, they struggled last week. They came 50th out of 50 teams in the finals. They really found it difficult off spawn, but they are uncontested, at least provisionally, over at Squibbly Shores, so I'm predicting a better finish for them this week. We had Moustache qualify with his new duo. He is now playing with Chuck, so this is an all Latvian duo, and honestly, I'm pretty excited by this. Moustache tweeted out saying that it was the most fun he's had playing a cup in months, and it's nice to see that he is getting some enjoyment from the game. Hopefully it means that he can grind it a little bit more and get back to the Moustache that we know and love from before. If you don't know too much about Chuck, he is a Latvian pro. He used to play with people like Sanya, Delri, Azat Go, and he's never made a grand finals, but he did have some good moments last year, and it'll be interesting to see how this team does get on. We had Veno and Curve qualify. This will be their 1st Divisional Cup since coming to EU. Of course, they did struggle a bit in the Reload Elite Series. They did not make the heats round, but they are still VNA Central FNCS champions, and they will be one to watch in finals. We had Fredoxy and Hellfire make it. Now, Fredoxy hasn't been in the craziest form over the past few months, but every now and again we do see a reminder of the quality that he has. It would be nice to see Fredoxy back on top, as I do believe he has the potential to be one of the best players on EU if he does put the time in. As you can see from the rest of this list, most of the other big names in EU did qualify, so this will be a stacked finals. Now let's get into the duos that did not make the grand finals. Mongrel and Lick Lixium failed to qualify. This was after a very impressive day 1 where they actually managed a 21st place finish. It was looking so good for them, and on day 2 it all just completely fell apart. The vibes didn't seem there. It does seem like Mongrel and Lixium have now split, so I'm not sure we'll be seeing this duo again. It looks like Mongrel's hunt for a new teammate will continue. Since getting dropped by Turtle just 2 days before FNCS, it has been a very turbulent time for him. Can he get back some consistency? It remains to be seen. Shark and Teeny and Hottie and Fishix both failed to qualify, which means that Wonky Land fight is going to be looking completely different this week. I'll take a look at that in a second when I go over my predictions. Both duos did have some bad luck come their way. Shark had an incident where he left the game in the bus, but it still counted as one, so they did lose out on an entire game. And Hottie, as you can see, had a bug when he was being rebooted, so neither team having their finest tournament. It will be nice to see something different over at Wonky Land, but I have to say I will miss this spawn fight because I have been enjoying it. Dom and Demus were a surprising duo that missed out. They narrowly avoided qualification, coming in 51st place. This was after they won the Reload Elite Series play-ins, so they have been in great form, just not quite able to secure that qualification. As you can see from the rest of this list, a lot of big duos missed out. We won't be seeing Queasy and Velry in Grands. We also won't be seeing Acer and Rax. And Giras and Syned have now split after not making it through this tournament. This is a duo that have been together for quite some time. It will be interesting to see who they both pick up. In terms of new duos, we had Vanya and Uppel play together, and they actually did qualify. We also had Pradaj play with Bimbo, and Albert played with Yerdy. Right, so let's get into the predictions for Saturday's Grand Finals. Now, these are still subject to change because the map will evolve, so my final 100% locked predictions will be out over on my Twitter just before the final on Saturday. But here's what I've got for now. In 10th place, I've settled on Kiro and for Strokey. They, of course, were great in Opens, coming in 2nd. Since they've formed, they've looked quite bright. From uncontested 4 fields, I could see them doing very well. In 9th, I've gone for Cammy and Hari, and yes, we are still waiting for their big performance. It does feel like every week they do okay, but they never quite have that crazy pop-off where they're challenging for the win. I'm not sure it's going to come this week, but I still think they can manage a 9th. In 8th place, I've gone for Skyjump and Mumsy. Yes, they did incredibly well last week, managing a 3rd place. I still think they're going to be solid now, but I'm not sure they'll be able to reach those heights again. In 7th place, I've decided on another French duo, Akira and Karama. They are landing right at the south of the map, behind Battlewood Boulevard, and it remains to be seen how that spot's going to play out. That whole south area of the map is looking very strong, but there are a lot of good duos, so it could potentially get a bit volatile. In 6th place, I've gone for a duo that have looked incredibly strong since forming, and that is Pix and Ghost. They're incredibly new. They only got together to play the second chance qualifier, and they qualified for the Summit Land in that first ever tournament together, and since then they have gone from strength to strength. They looked great last week, managing a 4th place in the Divisional Cup, and I see no reason why they can't replicate that from uncontested tip-top terrace. In 5th place, I've gone for Venno and Curve. Now, these guys 100% have the potential to finish higher than that, but there are 4 teams that I think are going to be slightly better, so 5th is where I've put them. In 4th place, I've gone for Focus and Thomas HD. Again, they could challenge for the win, but it will require zones to go in their favour, which if you've been watching Fortnite over the past 1 or 2 months has not been the case. In 3rd place, I've decided on SwizzY and Pixie. Now, of course, I spoke about them at the top of the video. I believe that they are hitting form at just the right time, and with uncontested Dark Dominion, this could be the week that they finally have that pop-off performance. In 2nd place, I've gone for last week's champions, Vico and Malabuka. Again, absolutely no reason why they can't win it. From uncontested Frigid Fortress, we know the quality that they have. They were excellent last week, making the play against Sky and Scroll, the Lurk play in Battlewood that ultimately won them the tournament. They're bold, they can take risks, they're great fighters, they have everything to their game, and there's no reason why they can't win, apart from the fact that Sky and Scroll are also in this lobby, and they are my pick to come in first. From North Battlewood uncontested, we have seen time and time again that their game plan is impeccable. They do well if they get the zone, they do well if they have to sit in storm, they can play low ground, mid ground, height. They are so adaptable to anything that can happen in the game. They'll beat anyone that lands on them off spawn. Yes, they got unfortunate last week because they got lurked on in that final game, but up until that point they were doing so well. They hadn't finished outside of the top 10 once, and I do still believe that the FNCS champions are the favourites to win this week. Couple of honourable mentions, you've got Chap and Flixie over at New Sanctuary. I also quite like Syaz and Scary Sean, Cringe and Volko if they can keep that area uncontested, Church and Repairs, Nebs and Nathan, and then you've also got Pixovsky and Seren over at that rock split. One thing to note from this map is that it is incredibly contested up in the north. As you can see, 3 duos at Wonky Land. Without Sharkantini, without Hottie and Fishix, there is a huge power vacuum, and we will be seeing an interesting spawn battle between Fredoxy and Hellfire, Murstache and Chuck, and ADN and Zolks. Could be pretty chaotic. There's also 4 teams over at Painted Palms. Chino and Pablo have got 2 duos on them over at Sandy Strip. The Mountain has 3 duos, so that whole portion of the map is incredibly congested. And honestly, that should really favour the teams in the south, which is why I believe that Sky and Scroll are the clear favourites to win. Subscribe to stay up to date with European Fortnite news. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.